First of all, thank you so much for taking time out of the day to go ahead and meet with us. Um, and also, thank you for all of your patience and all of your support during these first 2 weeks of distance learning. Um, it has been an adventure, and I know there have been moments of frustration. Um, my last meeting, my wife told me I said too many times. I'm sorry. The uh, um, the frustration you're feeling, I'm feeling also. I'm feeling it as a teacher, but I also feel it because Julian is going through the same frustrations that all of your children are going through. So thank you for your patience. The issue is not necessarily with you. It's not necessarily with me. It's with overloaded platforms. These platforms are very strong and they're very great educational tools, but they weren't designed to host an entire nation's educational needs at the same time. So they're probably very happy to get this exposure, but they're also trying to figure out what to do with their servers. And so the drag you're experiencing, the lagging that you're experiencing, whether it is on Class Dojo, whether it's on Khan Academy or iReady, please continue to be patient. Everyone is doing the best that we can under the circumstances. And I really appreciate, like I said already, your patience and your continued support. Before we get into anything too instructional educational, I hope everyone is doing well. With everything going on, I hope you and your loved ones are healthy. And if there's someone who is not well, I wish them a speedy recovery. If there's anything that the school or I can do to assist you, we are more than willing. We want to assist you with whatever needs that you might have. We're not medical professionals, but we can get you in touch with those people if you need them. And that could also deal with mental well-being. There's a lot of stressful situations going on right now. Ms. Blaya is still helping with guidance, and she can put you in touch with counselors, or if there's anything else that you might need. Reach out to me through email or through a Class Dojo message, and if there's something that we can do to help you, we're going to do it. That also applies to distance learning. If there's something that you need as far as a device or or internet access, we don't want technology to be a defining characteristic of whether or not your child succeeds. So I think the district has passed out over 50,000 devices. There is free internet access available through Comcast right now if it's something you need. We don't want anyone to have difficulties or not receive an education because of a technological disadvantage. So if there's something that you need, email me and I can pass it along to the right person. If it's a device, you let me know, I let Ms. Hernandez know, and she lets, I think our distribution center is now Braddock Senior High School, but we will get you a device. If you need internet access, that is there also. Also, meals. Meal distribution is still occurring. So if you need to pick up meals, that is fine. However, it's not at Sunset Park Elementary anymore. It's been centralized. And if you're in the Sunset Park area, the closest distribution center is Killian Senior High School. But most senior high schools are the distribution centers. Ferguson, Varela, Southwest, Braddock, they're all passing out meals from 4 to 7 p.m. The idea being if you pick it up Monday afternoon, those are meals for Tuesday. I believe the issue with picking up early in the morning is that parents who are working were not able to pick up meals for their children that day. So we're passing them out. I guess officially it's providing meals Tuesday through Saturday, picked up the prior day. If there is anything else that you need, again, please reach out. We're all here to support each other, however that may be. And we're not sure how long that is going to be. Right now, the aspirational date of return is April 31st or May 1st, that time frame there. And again, we're just going to be following the guidelines issued by the government at the federal and state levels, and we will keep abreast of what happens with that. So since this is happening, is being extended from our hopeful 2 weeks that we started with to another 5 weeks, we are now starting distance learning 2.0, which officially begins on Monday. Ms. Corona, please stop laughing. That's what they're calling it. I didn't name it. So distance learning 2.0 starts on Monday. And there's a couple of changes so that we can continue education, continue teaching our students. There's a little bit more accountability occurring, starting with attendance. Yes, we're going to start taking attendance on Monday. No, this is not where there's a roll call at 8 o'clock in the morning every day. Attendance is going to be taken. I don't actually take it. Your children take it by logging into the student portal. They just have to log in once a day, and it's going to be noticed, or someone will get notified that your child logged in and they were in attendance for distance learning for that day. I believe that if your child was absent or did not log in the student portal that day, you will get a phone call the way you would previously if it was a physical absence saying your child was absent from school today. So if you get that phone call, shoot me an email and I will pass it on to Mrs. Hernandez and we'll take care of the absence. But that's not a big deal, but we do want to have everyone logging in to the student portal every day. This probably isn't going to be a burden to anyone because to access iReady, the Khan Academy, the science books, Discovery Education, all of those resources that I'm having your children use, they're all accessed through the student portal. So by going and logging in that way, they're taking care of their attendance automatically. There is no set time. It's not that they have to log in at 8:30 in the morning every day. They need to log in every day. And I would probably recommend to log in sometime before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If they log in at 12 o'clock, that's fine. If they log in at 8 o'clock in the morning, that's fine. One of the guiding principles of Distance Learning 2.0 is flexibility. So whenever that works for you and your family and your situation, that is fine. So I want to go over what our expectations are for these next 5 weeks. Distance learning is a great tool, but it cannot replace the face-to-face interactions that young children need. I know many of us might have taken a distance learning class in college when we were older, and we had more responsibilities. We were more responsible ourselves, and we needed less interaction. 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, they really benefit from that face-to-face. And we're not going to be able to provide those interactions in the same manner. So with that, our goal right now is really to minimize educational loss. At this point, we have already completed 3 9 weeks of school. The fourth 9 weeks, we would have spent a week or two getting ready for FSA testing, and then a couple of weeks doing FSA testing. Then we would have like 3 or 4 weeks left at the end of the year. And then we'd have what we would commonly refer to as the summer slide. And it's something that we are accustomed to at the beginning of every year. We play review and catch up to remind everyone of what they forgot. But this year, they're leaving school in March as opposed to June 1st. So the summer slide used to be June, July, August, and now it's starting in March. So our goal right now is to minimize that slide. Most of the lessons for the year have already been taught, and that's why I was talking about how the testing is during the 4th 9 weeks. So most of the things have already been taught for the school year. What we want to do is minimize that slide. Now, with the distance learning setting, it is very hard for anyone to sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day and have to spend 4 of those hours looking at me. It's a little easier when I have the touch up my appearance feature on the Zoom camera, but even my wife would have a hard time doing that for 8 hours. Thank you, honey. So we're not asking or expecting your children to sit in front of a computer for a 6-hour block of instruction. There's probably going to be studies done saying how that is not good for them in many different ways. So we have, one of the expectations we have is a shorter day. We're not expecting your child to, like I said, sit in front of the computer for 6 hours every day, but we do want to see them every day. As hard as it is to believe, we miss them, and as it's even harder to believe, they miss us. So we are going to start meeting daily for a half-hour session, a half hour with me and a half hour with Miss Vega. Different times, so I guess it's an hour total, but to touch base. One thing we want to make sure we emphasize with our kids is that this is still school. And sometimes if they're not seeing the teacher on a regular basis, they might forget that this is school. So we want to make sure they feel that they are held accountable. That half-hour meeting, while it's daily, is not going to be the same thing as the 3 hours they spend with me for math and science every day. So what we really have going on is called a flipped classroom, where the time with me is more of a recitation session. So they go and they do their lesson on area in the Khan Academy. And then the next day, it's like, Mr. Slater, I was having an issue with this part of area. Can we talk about that? And I can answer that question directly. And if it's a question that Julian is having, chances are it's a question that Chloe is having or Lucas is having also. So we can go over it and we can touch upon the difficult spots and make the most of the time we have together, as opposed to me going over an entire lesson where they might not need me for that direct instruction, but they do need that support for what their challenges are. So we want to take this as more of a recitation session as opposed to the direct instruction. During the day, they don't have to sit on the computer for 4 hours straight. I would recommend you give them a chance to get up, move around, have them work on their math assignment, and then have them go draw the funny whale for Mr. Baquero, have them watch the video for Ms. Hernandez, have them go outside, give them breaks. Don't have them sit in front of a computer for hours on end. It's hard. As I'm sure as many of you are experiencing now, if you have to work remotely yourselves. The meetings are still important, but it's hard to sit there in front of a computer for so long. With those Zoom meetings, we do want to reinforce that this is a school setting. So while I want to see your children and I miss your children, I don't want to see them in their pajamas. One of my colleagues teaches high school, and they telling me with one of their Zoom meetings, I guess they had it on a gallery screen where they could see everyone, and someone got up to use the restroom, and they turned the computer away, so everything was kept PG. But we don't want any trips to the bathroom either with our devices. When they go to the bathroom at school, they don't take the whole classroom with them to use the bathroom then. So we don't want to have that happening now either. If you have you can have a list of participants that you can see who's in the meeting. I know I have that up right now, and one thing I want to go over is just our names. For instance, you'll see my name is Ryan Slater. When you logged in, that was all in caps. I don't like it all in caps. I feel like I'm shouting at someone, so I changed it so it'd be uppercase, lowercase. But someone here is Galaxy A20, and I can't see their video right now, so I have no idea who Galaxy A20 is. I'm really hoping it's a parent in our classroom and not just some stranger who is just having a good time enjoying our video. So when they log into Zoom meetings, please make sure that their name is their name. For Khan Academy, I'm still trying to figure out who Oink 2020 is. They're doing their work, but I have no idea who Oink 2020 is, so I have to get in touch with that person. Because Oink 2020 is getting an A, but someone is not. So we want to make sure we are named appropriately, dressed appropriately, and let's try to have them in a quiet area. I know for when Julian is going to be having his meeting, I don't want Evan jumping in and dancing behind him, and vice versa. And I've already had that happen during just our general say hello meetings. So try to provide a quiet area for them to work in general, but especially for during the Zoom meetings. With the Distance Learning 2.0 beginning on Monday, we're also going to have a little more accountability. We talked about attendance, but grading is going to have to start. We could have gone by 2 weeks without grades. We can't go by 7 weeks without them. So starting on Monday, we're going to start grading again. Now, that doesn't mean there's a grade going in on Monday, but starting next week, there will, at a minimum, we're going to have 1 grade per subject per week. So there is going to be that accountability. Now, sometimes an issue comes up as far as time frames. So what I'm going to start doing is on Mondays, be sending out the week worth of assignments. The very first week, I said, okay, it's Monday, let me tell them what to do on Monday. It's Tuesday, let me tell them what to do on Tuesday, and it kind of dribbled out. And then I thought that was going to be all right. Then with all the lagging and all the technical issues we were experiencing, iWriting things didn't show up on time, you weren't able to get in on time. And I wasn't overly concerned with it because everything, even though I said it was, okay, this is Monday's work, nothing really closed on Monday. So if I gave it on Monday, it wasn't due Monday, you had a few days to work on it. That's going to continue, but instead of waiting for me every day to tell you what's coming, I'm going to be sending out a Word document that has the week's assignments for math and science. And then one thing you might want to do is just print that out. And then you can have, I'm sorry, someone's trying to join the meeting. And then you can have them cross out the activities as they do them. That will help them stay on track as far as what they need to do and let them know what to do next. One of the issues that Julian has been having is, okay, he's done with his iWriting and now he wants to go do his art, and that's fine. But then he forgets about the science book, or he forgets about doing the Discovery Ed because he gets distracted, and he's 9 years old, and that's fine. But we started writing a list of things to check, and that helped him. So this might help your child as well stay on track. Now, when I send the list out on Monday, it's going to look like a long list of things to do, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to send it all out at once earlier, because I didn't want everyone to feel overwhelmed. But keep in mind, that's the assignments for the week. We are parents of gifted children, and we know many of them are overachievers. Please do not have them do everything on Monday. Stress that out for the week. Ms. Slater, I see your hand. If you can hold questions to the end. If you're worried about forgetting the question, you can type it in the chat so that we can come back to it later. Okay, and then the last thing I have to go over is just communication. Earlier this week, I asked you to complete a survey just asking what your preferences were. It was the only thing that we were really in agreement on was not to switch away from ClassDojo. One of the options was switching to Microsoft Teams. That is a district push. It's also integrated through the portal, and there are a lot of benefits to it. However, that'll just be one more layer for us to go through, whereas we already have a system in place for communication that's working for us, and we can do everything so that everything that we can do, everything we're doing now can continue just fine, and we can be successful. We don't need to add an additional list of things additional hoops for us to jump through to accomplish the same thing. But one thing I did see from the survey was that instead of doing the daily codes, I am going to give out individual username and passwords. I will send those to you over the weekend. You can log in, they can log in individually. What I would recommend is, this is not a general good practice as far as using autosave for your passwords. But for ClassDojo, there's no personal information there that anyone can take advantage of. So I would have your child go ahead and auto-save the username and password for ClassDojo. So they just log in the one time and they never have to worry about it again. And that will alleviate having to ask what the class code is. They just log in and they see everything. And also, you can continue to send me emails if you have questions. Officially, my office hours are 9:30 to 12:30, and I answer the bulk of the questions at that time. But I know my office hours don't always match up with when you have a question. So I have been answering questions throughout the day. But if you ask me a question like at 2 o'clock, I might not get to it until around 4, but I am getting to it as quickly as possible. Sometimes one of the issues I had was that I wasn't getting your messages in a timely fashion either through ClassDojo. So you were sitting there getting frustrated I wasn't answering your question when I hadn't even seen the question yet. And I'm sorry for that. I want to answer your questions, and I've tried to answer your questions as quickly as I can, whether it's through ClassDojo or through email. Please continue using those methods to email me or send me whatever communications you have. Okay, there are 2 questions that were posted in the group chat. I'm going to address those first, and I'm going to open it up to any other questions because I've covered everything that I need to. The first question is the list of assignments going to be broken down with daily assignments? I wasn't planning on doing that. It was being broken for here, the math assignments. And what I have them, the document I was creating them sequentially. So the idea was, okay, here's number 1 for math, do this activity first for math, then do this one activity. Because I'm designing it so that it builds upon itself. So there's going to be a list of, I think, if I pull up that document that I was working on, oh, it's closed. I think there's a list of like 7 things next week for math. Some of them one is like a 2-minute video, one is a different activity, but the idea is to go through them sequentially in order, because that way it will build upon itself, whereas as opposed to skipping to the number 7 because, oh, that's a brain pop video and I like brain pop videos, but there's no context for why that brain pop video is there without doing the previous lessons, the previous activities before it. So it's not going to be broken down daily, but they should be completed sequentially. And then the other question is, how do I grade? Okay, how do I grade? Well, grading right now is a little bit more challenging than normal grading, but essentially it's the same thing. One of the issues I have as a teacher right now is the homework and assignments and the quizzes are all getting done, but how do I know who did it? I trust you, you trust me. I'm going to assume your children are the ones doing it. But there is that meta issue of who's doing the homework, who's doing the assignments. I'm going to assume everyone's doing their own assignments. If there's a question where they need help, they can send me a message, they can send you a message, and they're not on their own, they're not adrift at sea, trying to figure out everything by themselves. It is okay to offer them support, it's okay to help them by all means. That's what you're normally doing anyway when there's homework, so continue doing that. If they have questions, that's when we can talk about them during the Zoom meeting. I can help them with it. So that's that. But as far as the grading, in Khan Academy, there are quizzes built in. They've already completed a couple of quizzes on area. I can see those results. With iReady, I can see the results and say, oh, they got 83% correct. With science, when they can do the quizzes that they turn in there, that's automatically graded for me. So these things are already embedded in the systems I have in place. That's one of the reasons I picked these things, these particular platforms to use. There's going to be some material that I cannot, where a quiz doesn't exist for me to use, and I'll be sending out a link to, it's through Microsoft Forms, which is the survey I sent out to you earlier about communications. I can send out quizzes that way also, whether it be multiple choice, fill in the blank, and so they can complete it that way as well. So in some ways, by teaching math and science, grading is a little bit easier because it's not a lot of subjective work, and I can get by with multiple choice, multi-select questions, fill in the blank, matching answers. Miss Vega has grading a little bit harder because she's going to have to deal with essays and having those submitted. And so she'll be in touch with you about that. And so that's the grading process. I see. How can we submit the assignments? Well, I kind of touched on that already. Many of them are already embedded. In the previous, I had an earlier meeting with the first and second grade parents, and they expressed concerns about some of the activities in the science book, specifically the investigations. When I assign portions of the science book, I can't pull out and have them skip that section. It's embedded in there. That's good and it's bad, because a lot of the investigations are beneficial, but you might not have access to all the materials, or it might not be in a timely manner that can be completed. During this week, I think there was one investigation about comparing flowers. Okay, well, Julian went outside and he picked 2 flowers and he was able to do it. But then I think for the first graders, there was one about planting a seed and watching it grow for 2 weeks. Well, Evan wasn't able to do that one. So if it's an investigation that you have the materials and the time to do, go ahead and do it. If it's an investigation that you're like, well, that's not feasible, then don't do it. But either way, I will not grade the investigations. Now, just because I'm not grading it doesn't mean I don't recommend doing it. They are still beneficial activities, and those are opportunities to be a little more hands-on in science. We're talking about plants right now. Going outside to look at flowers is a lot more fun than looking at a picture of a flower in a book, or looking at, not a book right now, a picture of the flower on your computer screen. So if it's an investigation that you're able to do, we should try and go ahead and do that. But none of the investigations will be for a grade. So if you're not able to do it, you don't have to stress about it. Okay. The parents are too busy to do their kids' work. That's probably true also. Can you record YouTube videos for students to follow on assignments that they may not understand? The videos I posted, whether it's Maniac McGee or the Don't Laugh at Me, that's an extensive process. What I can do is the Zoom meetings like this, I can record this, like right now this meeting is being recorded. So if there's a question that I go over the information for, I can post the Zoom meetings. So if there's an explanation that they missed, or if there's something they want to go back and hear again, I can post these Zoom sessions. Again, that's why this one is being recorded, because there's some parents who are not able to join us. And if there's information that they should have, I want to give them the opportunity to see it. So probably sometime tomorrow, you'll see this video posted to somewhere in Class Dojo, or a link to it somewhere in Class Dojo. Homework in addition to classwork. Well, one of the benefits of Distance 2.0 is their homework is their classwork. This is home learning. No one signed up for it, but we're all here anyway. So there is not additional work. Well, although I guess there's one caveat to that. I'm still expecting everyone to do reflex math 3 times a week to get the 3 green lights. And yes, there are teacher assigned iReady assignments, iReady tests. I still like them to do the tasks that are on the, I believe it's referred to as My Path, those 2 lessons a week. The My Path is specifically geared for your child's mathematical knowledge, whereas the assigned tasks are geared for what our curriculum is. Some of your students are doing math now at a 4th grade level or a 5th grade level, and that's wonderful. But if they don't continue doing that along My Path, they're not going to get that enrichment. So if they are, in addition to the assigned iReady lessons, just continue doing the 2 lessons a week for the My Path portion of iReady. But that's it. That's the only additional thing. And I actually have that on the list of things to do for that's coming out for next week. It's the first thing. It's 3 green lights, 2 lessons through My Path. So that's included on the list. Those are just weekly staples. Okay. If anyone else has an additional question, you don't need to type it. You can just unmute yourself, and I'm sure we'd like to hear a voice besides mine at this point. Yes, Maria.
Hi.
Hello.
Selfish question, but I was wondering, Emily, stop making funny faces. Totally get that you're going to send the whole week, and that's super helpful, so thank you. That was going to be our first question. But if there's any way you can break it up into days, that would be a game changer, because both of us are working full-time here and the 2 kids, so then having to go in and create a schedule for them. And it also gives them a lot of leeway to be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it later. Where if it's on a schedule, they can tick off, okay, Monday is these 5 things, Tuesday. And then there's flexibility. Obviously, if we can't get to everything on Monday, or we want to add or do something ahead, that's fine. But at least it gives them a more scheduled day.
Okay, I can look at adding that as long as we have the understanding that those are suggested days to do it on. All right, cool. So I have a kind of a flexible mindset with that. I don't know if I said it in this meeting or the previous meeting, but one of the defining characteristics of Distance Learning 2.0 is flexibility.
I think our kids really need that, though, because some of the children might be like, I don't have to do that. I have until Friday. And then you might have like the type A personality kid that's going to sit on Monday and try to get everything done on a Monday and think that they have to do all of it. And I think that just like at 8, 9 years old, they need a little bit more specifics. Like, this has to be done on Monday. You can do it in whatever order, but this has to happen on a Monday. So I'm going to agree with Maria that breaking it down day by day will really help the parents and the children themselves.
Okay, well, like I said, I would include dates there with the understanding that those are flexible dates. As far as due dates for assignments, yes, this is going to come out on Monday, so technically I'm looking for these things to be done by Friday. One thing you might have noticed with iReady or Khan Academy is that once a due date comes, the assignments stay there. It's not that they can't complete it afterwards. It might have a little parentheses there, past due, but the assignment is still there. And they're not going to be penalized for doing it at a later date. We just want to make sure it gets done. So again, flexibility. We do have our time frame in mind, but everyone's situation is different. Some of us have to take our kids to work with us. Some of us have to work remotely during the day, so we still have to do our 9 to 5 at home, making it difficult to offer support to our kids who need that time or who need our help with the schoolwork. So there's a lot of flexibility as far as time frames where something might just have to wait till the weekend. And we're okay with that if it does get done. With that also in mind, if I'm seeing something, if I see that for the previous week that the assignments weren't done, I'm going to send a message, I'm going to follow up saying what help do you need, how can I support you to get it done. And that also includes for grading. No one's going to be docked for turning in an assignment late or completing a quiz late. Anything else? All right. The last thing I want to say is we're living through something right now that is on a scale that we have not seen since World War II. There have been monumental events on local or even national levels, but I can't think of something in my lifetime or even before my lifetime since World War II that's affected the entire world the way this COVID-19 has. For many of us, it's a stressful time, but in 20 years from now, once this is passed and we're looking back at it, our perspective on it is going to matter. We're going to have to choose whether we saw this as a time where we all bunkered down and sheltered and wore masks out of fear of what was happening, or if we were able to look at this time as, well, those fun 5 months where we got to spend time with our families and we got to do the things that we didn't have a chance to before. For us as parents, it's a very fine line between those because I know we're all concerned about keeping our loved ones safe and healthy. But we also have to think about how we present that to our children. I don't want Julian to look back and say that this was a defining time of his life because he was traumatized by it. I know I was supposed to be running a Spartan race with Julian and Evan later this month. Obviously, that's been canceled. So Nicole went ahead and we are now signed up for a Home Alone virtual 5K that we are training for. And so this morning, all 5 of us went out for I think we did like 1.5 miles this morning, a run walk. And whether it's finding something like that or whether it's extra art activities, finding time to connect as a family is going to be very beneficial for everyone. There are times during the day when I am feeling stressed about everything I'm trying to get done, and setting time aside for doing family things, I know helps me personally, and I know it helps my kids as well. So I hope you're able to find the time to really connect with your family in ways that we might not have had time to before. And it's important for your kids as well, because we all have smart kids and they hear more than we think they do. They understand more than we think they do. And we need to remember they're 9 or 8. So let's try to keep this in perspective for them as well. I hope everyone stays healthy. I hope everyone stays safe. And unless there's any other questions or comments or concerns, we're going to go ahead and end now in 3, 2, 1. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.